Hi folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today, we want to talk to you guys about a story that's been circulating in the media and really getting some traction. And it is this idea that we should ban pickup trucks. I know, a little crazy, right? Well, I gotta tell you, there's some things that we actually agree with and some that we definitely disagree with, and we want to have a big conversation about this to really kind of set the table for you. So in this video, we'll talk about those articles I mentioned, we'll talk about our position on them, and then we'll talk about why you can't ban pickup trucks.
Now, just to set the scene, we'll start off with the fact that this is a regional story, meaning that there were a couple of stories that appeared here in the Greater Toronto area. So right now it's kind of this tempest in a teapot happening here in Canada, and I figured by this time it would blow over, but it's actually been gaining legs. And I mentioned this to Steve a couple of weeks ago, and we see this stuff coming from time to time. Over the last 30 years, these stories rear their ugly heads every once in a while. Somebody comes out and they usually run along the lines of pickup trucks are killing the planet. Pickup trucks are wasting all our natural resources. Pickup truck drivers are murderous villains out hunting families in Honda Civics. So this is nothing new. I don't care where you live, you're watching this video, you've heard this stuff, you've seen this stuff. It keeps coming up from time to time. However, in our part of the world right now, this stuff is really kind of getting a little out of hand. So we felt like we too had to chime in.
Now let's get into the heart of this argument. And I actually sort of see this as two separate things. There's kind of the state of the modern pickup truck, and that's sort of the reason why we're having this discussion, and then whether or not you can ban them. And the answer is no, you can't ban them, but we'll get more into the reasons for that in just a little bit. I want to talk now about the modern pickup truck, because in a way, the articles are touching on a little bit of truth, which is that pickup trucks these days have gotten really, really big. And that's not because they're more useful. It's mostly because we like big vehicles, straight up. That's what society and customers have been asking for, so the companies are just delivering them. So trucks are huge. They take up way more space than they need to. And they don't work that often, right? People look at trucks and say, you're just driving your kids to school. You're not hooking up a huge trailer on the back. And that also seems to be true. You know, if you just look around the roads, there's a ton of trucks which are mostly empty. And again, that is just a function of us as a society. We've gotten to this point where trucks have become regular family vehicles. So I get it. From an outside perspective, you look at that and say, it's wasteful. Why do you need a huge work truck to take your family to school and get milk? From that perspective, I'm kind of on board, Dad. Like, I see where they're coming from. But once again, the market's already responded. We now have compact pickup trucks. The Ford Maverick and the Hyundai Santa Cruz are not just coming out of nowhere. Those trucks are coming because there's a necessity. There are a huge segment of customers saying trucks are too big, trucks are too thirsty, we don't want to put all the gas into a V8. And like usual, the market has responded. So I think, yes, there's some truth to the fact that people can buy vehicles that they don't necessarily need. But then, Dad, we get into the next question. Who decides what somebody needs? And that's really the crux of it. You can't ban pickup trucks because if you ban trucks, you have to ban all sports cars because they're out there wasting gas for no reason besides just fun.
And they're more useless than any truck.
Exactly. You can't put anything in a sports car. You need to ban all power sports because every PWC that exists is just out there for fun.
Mm-hmm. Any pleasure boating.
Exactly.
We're talking about waste of resources, materials, oil, polluting the planet. If we want to start going down this road, we can find all kinds of things that ultimately somebody could say, well, we don't need that. You don't need that. However, this is the argument that we should always get back to. We live in a democratic society, in a free market economy. And I know, watching the truck market for the past 30 years, that when a product is no longer accepted, in other words, people are not buying it, it vanishes like the dinosaurs. So the fact that these trucks are still selling and selling well means that people are willing to put down their hard-earned money and they want them. And frankly, that is not going to change anytime soon. So some guy pulling this sort of narrow image that, you know what, if we ban trucks, suddenly we'll save the planet, I mean, is disingenuous. It makes no sense. I went through this with the Hummer H2, with the Ford Expedition. I mean, the list goes on and on. Every once in a while, people rise up like they've got nothing better to do and decide that there is one poster child for killing the planet. And it's not. And there's so many things killing the planet.
Exactly, and you said a poster child. Trucks are just the thing today that people want to focus on. Plus, they're the best-selling vehicles in North America, so it makes sense, right? But that's the argument against. It's not like companies are building them because they know they're going to be the best-selling. They're the best-selling because people want them, and that's what the free market's about.
And to that point, what's really, really kind of upsetting to me, which is that everybody's entitled to their opinion. I may totally disagree with your opinion, but I'm willing to listen. Now, don't immediately run to the government and say, listen to my opinion and legislate all these other people to do what I want, because that's not right. If you truly, truly feel that you're the savior of the planet, well, then make your case and convince me. Don't whine to the government and say, pass laws, make Howard sell his truck.
Yeah.
That's, I'm sorry, where do we live?
If you make people buy less F-150s, then Ford might stop building F-150s. That's simple as that.
So we already know, before we started, that this doesn't really hold water. However, it's fascinating to see that every once in a while, trucks get this hate riot on them. I can't even begin to explain why or how. However, we've seen it. And Steve was mentioning earlier that recently this year we covered the new Tahoe. And here's the fascinating thing, okay? So every customer survey GM did, they said, well, what should we do with the new Tahoe? And everybody said, make it bigger.
And that's the biggest SUV they already make.
So they're simply responding to a consumer demand, you know? And the same people that write these articles, if I were to say to them, well, you can't have a 3,000 square foot house. You can't have a cottage because no person needs two homes.
Can't go on vacation.
You can't fly because that's just burning up fossil fuel. You need to stay put. Of course, they would say, well, that's ridiculous. I can do what I want. And that's what we're saying. You want to buy a truck? You do what you want.
Well, folks, I'm sure you figured this out by now. We are passionate about this issue. And you know what? We are biased. There's no doubt about it. We make our living off pickup trucks. Of course we don't want them to go away. So we've laid down our opinion, our thoughts. Now we want to hear what you think. So please go into the comments below. And you know what? I will even drop links straight to these articles. So if you want to go read the article, feel free, and then get in their comment section. Let that author know how you feel. And one better than that, you know, Dad was talking about, if you really want to make a difference, reach out to your local MP, your local government representative, and let them know how you feel about this issue. Because, you know, the fear is one day the government does say, hey, let's do something like this, and then that just snowballs and gets crazy. So make sure you get your voice heard, because we wanted to make sure our voices got heard.
You pay taxes, make sure they're paying attention.
There you go. So like I said, go below. Please leave us that comment. This is such a big discussion, so we want to hear all angles on it. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of the Truck King channel, and then come right back here to see what we're testing next. See ya.
Thanks.